Hey everyone, welcome to the video going over my cheat sheet for tomorrow night's NASCAR race at 6 p.m. on Sunday. It's the Bojangles Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway. Really looking forward to this race. I love NASCAR night races, and this is the last NASCAR race before the NFL season starts, so I can imagine this is going to be the last popular NASCAR race of the season. But anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. Let's try to get up to 1,500 over the weekend. That'd really be awesome. And I would recommend hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the new content. And if you'd like access to my entire NASCAR sheet, where I've got all the data on here you need, practice times, it's all color-coded, presented nice and neat. I got a target sheet on here, GPP driver exposure, my Slack chat. I have rankings on here. I have projections. So if you would like access to that, link is in the description below for my Patreon if you're interested. And anyway, let's dive into... Actually, I will say you're going to get... If you signed up tonight, you get double charged tomorrow morning because Patreon charges on the 1st. So I'd recommend waiting till you wake up in the morning, and then if you're interested, then do it. Anyway, let's get into today's cheat sheet. So we have the Bojangles Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway. This is a oval track, kind of an oval track. It's a little It's not like a regular oval. It's kind of little. It's got a little kinks in it. It's a little unique, but it's still an oval. It's 1.3 miles in length. We're gonna have 367 laps. Number of Dominator points available is 275.25. And the main strategy and tips for this race is we're gonna want 1 to 2 major Dominators. And I say that because there is probably going to be a couple minor Dominators. But with the way this week's going to shake out, we have Kyle Busch running 33rd, so we cannot afford 2 major Dominators and Kyle Busch. So I should actually probably just move that to 1 Dominator. But if I'm going to fade Kyle Busch and get in 2 Dominators and fade Kyle, I guess that could be a viable option in GPPs if Kyle does indeed have trouble. So anyway, let's get into the main cheat sheet where we got all the numbers on here. So let's just do a little driver by driver breakdown. We'll start up top with Kyle Busch as always. He's 11,900 and he qualified 33rd, making this another fun week with a big chalk play. Hate when that happens, but it just means half the field's going to fade Kyle Busch, which means if we just go all in on Kyle Busch, we can get a 50% edge. But I'd really never recommend going all in on a driver. Not saying I don't do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's a little bit bold, and if in NASCAR, if your guy loses a tire, it can just screw your whole day up. But he qualified 33rd. This means he's an excellent play. He's great at every single racetrack, pretty much. He was great in practice. In practice 1, he was 2nd in the 10 lap. Practice 2, he was 3rd in the 10 lap. If you look at his overall numbers here, past 5 races, he's averaging 41 DraftKings points per race, 101 driver rating, which I actually will say is the worst out of this group of drivers. But still, it's Kyle Busch. He's got a 6.6 average finish, which is the best out of this tier. No wins. He's only in the top 5 20% of the time, which is a little weird. But he's in the top 10 80% of the time, top 15 100% of the time. Chances are he'll be in the winning lineup if he has a excellent day. Now, there is ways he won't make the winning lineup if we have 2 major dominators like Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick. And Kyle Busch gets like a top, if he finishes 15th, then he wouldn't be. But chances are it's Kyle Busch. He's going to have an excellent day. You lock him in your cash games. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about doing anything else. Love Kyle Busch tomorrow. And then Denny Hamlin. He is a GPP play only for me. I will say I should have mentioned the color coding. The light blue is place differential. The yellow is GPP plays. The green is dominators. And the orange is cheap guys. Okay, so Denny Hamlin. He is on fire. He qualified 9th. He's 11,400. I know what you're thinking. That's a big price tag for Denny Hamlin. And yes, it is. It's crazy. He's usually in the 9K to really low 10K range. So I will say there's not a lot of value here, but if he does end up dominating, obviously anyone can become a value if they are a dominator. He was good in practice. In practice 1 in the 10 lap, he was 6th. Practice 2, he was 2nd in the 10 lap. And he's pretty good here. It's one of his better tracks. If you look at his average DraftKings points per race here, that's at 55.75, 109 driver rating, which is best out of this entire tier. He's got a ceiling driver rating of 139, average finish of 7.4, does have a win in the top 5 60% of the time, top 10 80% of the time. Numbers are checking out here. He's very good here, and if you want to play him, he should be lower owned, especially with Kyle Busch being right there and guys like Kyle Larson and Martin Truex. So I think Denny Hamlin is a good guy, as a guy to be overweight on in GPPs. Not someone I'm going to go too heavy on, but I think he's interesting. And then Joey Logano, he's good here, and he's got great numbers, but I can't just tell you guys to play every single driver, so I'll take a stance and say I won't have any Joey Logano because I'd much rather play Kyle Larson, who's cheaper. Kevin Harvick is cheaper, and I don't think there's really a path for Joey Logano to be in the winning lineup. Obviously, if he dominates, he'll be in the winning lineup, but I just don't see it happening. Then Kyle Larson at 10,600, he qualified third, and he is great at Darlington. He was great in practice. He was first in the 10 lap in practice 2. And if you look at his overall numbers here, very, very good numbers. 79.75 average DraftKings points per race here, which is best in this entire tier. Second overall out of everyone besides Kevin Harvick. Average driver rating of 108. Did have a 139.5 driver rating in one of his races. Average finish to 7.6. No wins here in the past 5 races, but top 5 40% of the time. Top 10 80% of the time. And obviously, I would hope he would be in the top 15, but 100% of the time he's been in the top 15. He's one of the highest drivers in average laps led here with 91, average fast laps of 34, all are second just to Kevin Harvick. I think Kyle Larson's a fantastic play. Chances are he should be able to dominate early portion of this race. William Byron is on the pole. He just has to get around Brad Keselowski, but if he can get a good jump on the restart, I think Kyle Larson can dominate a good portion of this race. And then Martin Truex Jr., he's in the same boat where he's starting near the back with Kyle Busch, but he's also $1,700 cheaper, which makes him more affordable and a better value. I will say, though, he's got 11 place differential. Kyle Busch has 11 more place differential possibilities here, potential, but Truex was great in practice, too. He was 4th in the 10-lap in P2, didn't run one in practice 1, but still, He's starting 22nd. Chances are he should be able to top 10, top 5, even contend for a win. He's only 10,200. He's the lowest price guy in this tier. If you look at his recent history here, he's averaging 45 DraftKings points per race here, which I think he should be able to outdo that by far, starting 22nd. Average driver rating of 108.5, average finish of 11.2. He does have a win here. Now, he's only been in the top 5 20% of the time, but he's been in the top 10 60% of the time, top 15 80% of the time. Chances are he's going to move up and have a great race, and he's always got the chance to get up front and dominate. This is a long race, so there will be enough time for him to get up front and dominate, which I think he can definitely do. And at 10,200, he offers you a really nice value. So in GPPs, though, I would not play Truex and Kyle Busch together unless you think William Byron can dominate this race, and then you want to play those two guys as your two place differential, like your high tier guys, because they're both not going to dominate just starting so far back. So I like pairing one of these two with a dominator like Kevin Harvick or Kyle Larson or Brad Keselowski. I just don't think Kyle Busch and Martin Truex together was going to be too optimal, maybe outside of cash games, just to lock up those place differential points. Although I will say it's probably going to be hard for them to go in the winning lineup together because you can't play Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Kyle Larson together. It's just not going to leave you enough salary. And let's go on to the 9K tier. We have Kevin Harvick at 9,900. I honestly do not understand this pricing. He's been better recently. He qualified 11th, so he does offer some place differential upside, but I want to use him as a dominator. He was good in practice, 6th in the 10 lap in practice 2, but let's look at his numbers here. They're amazing. He's averaging 85.75 DraftKings points per race here. Average driver rating of 126, which is by far the best. Ceiling one of 148.9. Does have a win here. He is in the top 5 80% of the time. I mean, just look at everyone else comparative. He has been dominant here. He's in the top 10 100% of the time. And I know Erik Jones has 2, but that's only with a 2-race sample size. That's a 5-race sample size for Kevin Harvick. So these numbers are great. He's leading everyone in average fast laps per race here. Average laps led of 104 and 36 or 38 for the fast lap. So Kevin Harvick's an awesome play in my opinion. He can get up front. He's 9,900. I honestly don't know why he's this cheap, especially for how good he's been here, and he's been better recently. I definitely love Kevin Harvick, someone I want to be overweight on in GPPs. He's just a little too cheap in my opinion. And same with Brad Keselowski. I want to be overweight on him too. He's really cheap, and he's been great here. He's only 9,600. He qualified second. William Byron's on the pool. Keselowski and Larson should be able to get in front of him. And I think either Kes or Larson leads the early portion of this race, so I'd probably want to split my ownership between the two. But he was good in practice too. He was in 5th in the 10 lap in P2, and if you look at his overall numbers here, they are pretty good. 57 average DraftKings points per race, 114 driver rating, which is the second best out of everyone. Did have a ceiling one of 137. Floor was only 97. Average finish of 8.8. Does have a win here in the top 5 40% of the time, top 10 60% of the time, and which obviously I'd hope he's going to get a top 10 if he's if for this price tag qualifying second. So I do like Brad Keselowski. He's one of my favorite dominator plays. if I had to rank him, I'm not sure yet, but he's right up there with Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, and Brett Keselowski as my 3 favorite dominators. And then I don't want to talk about every single driver. I don't want to bore you guys to death, so I'll just be honest. I'm probably not going to have any Chase Elliott or Kurt Busch or Ryan Blaney. So that leads me to Erik Jones at 8,700. He qualified 15th, and I swear this guy loves to screw me. He did good for me at Daytona, the very first NASCAR race, but yeah, he's really screwed me a couple times. I mean, you can't really help it if a tire goes down or something, but still, he was good in practice, 7th in the 10 lap in practice 2, same in the practice 1. And look at his numbers here. It's only a 2-race sample size, but it's what we have to go off of. 52 DraftKings points per race here, 105 drive rating, which is excellent. Has a floor drive rating of 103, which I believe is second highest. But again, 2-race sample size, but still. A 6.5 average finish, which is absolutely amazing. He's in the top 10 each race. And he did get a top 5, so not a lot of data here to work with Erik Jones, but he's been great here in a limited sample size, and I think he's an excellent place differential play at 8,700. Clint Boyer, he had a decent practice, but he's not been very good here, so someone I'm probably going to pass on starting 13th. Ryan Newman, he qualified 24th, and this is a price jump for him. 8,300, usually he's in that 7K range, but, well, I know recently he was in the 8K range for one race, but still, he's qualified 24th. He's going to move up. He's actually been pretty decent here. Now, his practice is not impressive at all, but if you look at his numbers here, averaging 36 DraftKings points per race, average drive rating of 85, average finish of 11.4, which I do like a lot. So he should be able to move up, and I think he's a safe play at 8,300, starting 24th. Alex Bowman, his numbers are not that impressive here, small sample size, but he has been great recently, this season really, and he was good in practice. He was 3rd in the 10 lap in practice 1, that dropped a little bit in practice 2, but still nonetheless. 3-race sample size, average DraftKings points per race here 24, not the best. Average drive rating 52, again, not the best. Average finish of 25, again, not the best, but I think he'll be fine. Sorry, my dog just opened the door. Still, I think Alex Bowman's a fine play. Not my favorite play in the world, but 8,200, I think that's worth it. Then we have Jimmy Johnson at 8,000. He qualified 6th, and if you look at his practice numbers, not terrible, but starting 6th, just someone I'm not really interested in, so I'm going to pass on him. Aric Almirola, he is 7,800, starting 30th. This is going to be one of the chalk plays of the week, and it's really just a plug and play kind of guy. 7,800, he's better driver than obviously 30th. Decent practice numbers, but we don't have really any 10 laps to work with, but still at 7,800, he's just a guy that's going to offer us some place differential upside. He's starting right beside Kyle Busch almost. And I know his numbers aren't that impressive here, but we only need a top 20 for him to hit value, and his average finish is 20, so I don't mind that at all at 7,800. Then we have MDB, who recently got that Barstool sponsorship, which is pretty cool. And he's coming off that was Bristol he dominated, and that was the last race. I forget, we had a week off, so. But still, MDB qualified 19th. He should be able to move up. Practice numbers weren't amazing. Practice 1 went better for him than practice 2. But he's just been great recently, and I think he's got the talent. He's not my favorite play in the world. That's why I only have him tagged as a GPP play only. But I definitely think he is interesting. Suarez, Buescher, Dillon, not really interested in any of those guys, so I'm just not going to even talk about them. So William Byron's an interesting case this weekend. He is 7,100, and he nabbed the pool. So if you think he's going to lead an early portion of this race at 7,100, if he does that, it's fine, because even if he finishes 10th, he should still hit value. And I do think there's a really good possibility Brett Keselowski or Kyle Larson just overtake him quick. At a very, very small sample size, he has not been the best here. It's only a 1-race sample size, but you only get negative 15 DraftKings points a race here, but we can't really look at that. And he's been much better this season. He was decent in practice, 11th in the 10 lap in practice 2, 1st in the 10 lap in practice 1. I think he's an interesting play. He's cheap, could be a cheap dominator. He's going to allow you. The only way I can see Truex and Kyle Busch being in the same lineup together, being in the winning lineup, is if William Byron dominates, because you can put both of those guys in, get William Byron in, and load up on some place differential plays, and I think that's the only way it works out. But I think William Byron's fine. Chances are he's going to get passed up quick, but if he can hang around, I think that's fine. But if he can lead an early portion of this race, don't hate it. Paul Menard, not really interested in. Ricky Stenhouse is okay, not someone I'm in love with, but if you want to throw him in a lineup at 6,700, I don't mind it. Daniel Hemrick at 6,500. Let me give Stenhouse that place differential tag, actually. He's not my favorite player in the world, but I think he's fine, because he's 6,700. Starting 21st, should be able to move up. He's got an average finish here of 23, though, which I don't like, but starting 21st, if you need the salary relief, I think it's fine. Hemrick, not really too interested. Ty Dillon, though, he's 6,300, qualified 29th. And practice does not look very good, obviously. But if you look at his history here, we have a 2-race sample size. Obviously not a lot to work with, but he's averaging 36.5 DraftKings points per race here, which is much better than anyone even close to this tier of drivers. Average finish of 17. He's starting 29th. I think he's going to be a very high-owned cheap guy, and I think it's fine. I don't mind it at all. So don't hate using Ty Dillon. Ryan Preece, not too interested in. Ross Chastain, I'm only really interested in never using Chastain if he's starting dead last, and he is not. And if we want to we're going to have to use some cheap drivers because we're going to need Kyle Busch and a Dominator, so that's just going to have to make our lineup construction include one of these cheap guys. So Bubba Wallace, not the worst place, starting 28th. David Reagan starting 26th. Corey LaJoie starting 27th. He's actually shown some speed. And then Matt Tifft at 5,200, starting 32nd. He's going to be popular at 5,200, and he's going to allow you to do a lot of stuff you want with your lineups, and he's not really that bad of a driver. So, yeah, I don't mind Matt Tifft, and I think that's going to be it for the entire video. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Remember to leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, again, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I'd love to get over 1,500 this weekend. If you guys want some NFL content, I got plenty of NFL videos out. I got my NFL sheet ready. I'm going to be doing something kind of similar to this. I got it all. It's like a whole spreadsheet for NFL, projections, rankings, all that. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I wish you guys the best of luck on race day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.